Hello. I wanted to share my story with you. So, first off, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of my journey of trusting me to be a part of your journey. So, hopefully, at this point, you know that I'm Jenn Greiner of Divine Vitality. I'm the human design therapist, and I'm a 3-5 emotional energy projector. So, I wanted to share a bit about my journey and my story with you, where I was back in 2020. But before that, I will start with my journey along building and developing my knowledge and expertise. So, I will take you, actually, let's start back growing up, right? I'm an only child. I grew up with a single parent and also had my grandparents. I am a Taurus rising. I'm an Aries moon, Aquarius sun, and my mother and maternal grandmother are both Tauruses. So, some generational healing that is there, and an aspect of luxury that has always been a need in my life. As a projector, I always found that through nature, being connected to the outdoors, through wildlife, through all living things, especially with my 7 out of 10 love gates. So, I had the privilege of being supported and seen and recognized within my family growing up. I didn't have any major traumas, but of course, we all have traumas that condition us, that are a part of our experience and our story that have led me to become the person that I am today. So, through being supported through school, I ended up doing my undergrad in psychology. I was faced with a very big decision of, do I become a psychology major or a math major? Right. So it's really cool to see how my strategy and authority, my emotional authority, really played out even back when I was, 16, 17, making that really big life decision. I sat with that decision for a very long time before I felt confident and had the emotional clarity that I wanted to pursue a bachelor's in psychology. So at the end of my undergraduate experience at the University of New Hampshire in the US, I realized that I really wanted to do art, that I loved art, that I had this creative need within me to get out there, to express. I have an undefined throat. So finding ways to express myself and be creative has always been something that I need, but have struggled to navigate. So it was too late to do a art minor. That was not what I wanted my senior year of college to be, but I knew that there was this aspect of art that I needed in my life, right? Taurus rising, I need beauty around me. So after undergrad, I worked at a summer camp as the arts and crafts director for 2 summers. And through this, I realized I love teaching. I love sharing my wisdom with people, and I love doing crafts, right? Finding all of this creativity. I loved working with kids. So I started thinking, how can I bridge these two? How can I utilize my undergraduate, my bachelor's degree in psychology, and how can I tie in art? A little Google search led me to uncover art therapy. And from there, I got to attend a introductory workshop at Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, right, part of Boston, and fell in love with art therapy. Found out what it was, that it was a part of the expressive therapies, and that Lesley had an expressive therapies program specializing in art therapy that would qualify me to be a mental health practitioner, to get my license. So that's what I did through an intensive 2-year program. I was actually living out in San Diego on the West Coast at the time in my ideal shores environment, finding alignment, finding so much success in my life, living my 3-5 profile, the great life experimenter. So I came back to Boston and did those 2 intensive years doing internships. My first year internship was at an art therapy studio in a homeless day shelter in downtown Boston. It's quite the experience. And from there, back in 2012, I got to get a taste of what being an art therapist was like. I worked with clients, I was there a few times a week, and began loving what I was doing and seeing how, when I found counseling back in 2008 in my undergraduate, I knew then that my goal was to have a private practice. I wanted a successful private practice, helping individuals one on one navigate their mental and emotional challenges. In alignment, right? I'm a guide, I'm a seer, I'm an emotional authority um, with an open throat, ajna, and crown. Really beautiful how it all came together. So, in my second year internship, I got to work in an intensive outpatient program for children and adolescents. And this is where I really found alignment doing group therapy, implementing art therapy for these 5 to 17, 18-year olds that were really struggling, that had some severe mental health diagnoses as well as trauma. So after I graduated, right, it was such a celebration, such a success to graduate with a master's degree in expressive therapies, specializing in art therapy, and ready to jump into supervised work, getting paid to work so that I could get my license. In Massachusetts, it's a license as a mental health counselor, mental health clinician. So I had the opportunity to move to Cape Cod, where I lived for over 2 years, developing my outpatient skills. I had an outpatient practice where I saw clients coming in and everything was done for me. So I just really had to show up and meet with and work with these clients. And then I got to go to people's homes, to go into their home, to be with them in their space, in their environment, to really see them and experience their energy. I'm a conscious reflector. So just going into someone's home allowed me to really get the full sense, whether it was individually or family dynamics, to really understand what was going on. So I really feel like this experience helped align me in honing in the unique gifts that I have as a 3-5 emotional projector to guide, right? So I love that job. I loved it so much. And different life events had me leaving there after over 2 years to move to Maine. And it was a new place. It was exciting. And I found a job working at a therapeutic preschool with about 10 clients, ages 3 to 5 or 6. And there were aspects that I loved and aspects that I didn't love. But as I found alignment, as I got to meet and connect with people in this new town, I received an invitation to join a group therapist practice to build a private practice. And it was so exciting. And from there, I began building a private practice to meet my goal. The only thing is I was conditioned. I was a non sacral, a projector, living in a generator society who prided itself on hustle culture, right? I grew up learning that if I worked hard, it would pay off. So I started working hard. I was working 12-hour days. I was priding myself on this. Like, yes, I just worked a 12-hour day, right? I am worthy. I am successful because I just busted my butt and did that. I am exhausted. I am burned out. I was working on the weekends, um, growing my essential oil business, and I was burned out. But because I learned that if I do this, I will succeed, I kept doing it and I learned how to get through it, right? I started drinking a lot of coffee so that I could stay up. I suffered from adrenal fatigue that I didn't realize till years later, right? I said, this is what will get me success. And in some ways it did, and other ways it didn't. So when 2020 came, right, with COVID, I was no longer working at the preschool. I had left years prior, but was building my practice within a group that was no longer aligned. I was not recognized within this group. I was not heard. And my wisdom, while valued, um, it just no longer felt successful. So as life and my practice changed in 2020, being home all the time, seeing people virtually, I knew that bitterness was building, right? I was falling into my not self theme and it no longer felt successful and something needed to change, but I didn't know what. I had all of these conditioned thoughts and beliefs that you can't do this that held me back. So in 2020, when human design found me, my dear friend, Calandra Martin, kept asking me, what's your human design? What's your human design? And I had had enough of it. So I found out my human design and thus began the journey of understanding what it truly means to be a projector. I went home after that conversation and for at least 3 hours fell down the rabbit hole, did a deep dive on Google and found literally everything there was to understand my human design. There wasn't that much back then. And then I started seeing it in real life playing out. And a unique experience happened within the practice that I was at, where I said, you know what, this is all or nothing. I'm going to send this really long email, and either it lands and we can figure this out and I can find success and get what I want, or bitterness is going to come. And perhaps this is the catalyst for the change that I need to make so that I can find success in my life. The latter was what happened, which was amazing, right? It was what I needed because it prompted me to leave that group that was no longer feeling successful. Bitterness was growing, and to find my own office and fully create my own thriving private practice. And I did. And it felt so good. It was in my environment. I was finding alignment. I was starting to understand waiting for the invitation, what that meant, and actually waiting for the invitation. And then within this time, I began implementing human design with all of my clients. I would say, hey, there's this really cool thing that I've learned about that I've started using, and I think it can really help. Are you interested in hearing what this is and, trying this out with me? All of them said yes. And what happened when we started applying human design to our treatment and goals was that they hit their goals in less than half the time. Rather than trial and error, guessing, go home, try this, do the homework. Maybe they did the homework, maybe they didn't. When we had human design, their energetic blueprint, they understand how they worked. I could see underlying their unconscious how they truly worked and could guide them in the way that they uniquely needed. They would come back the next week and say, wow, that worked, right? What's next? Let's go on to the next step. So I had many clients come and go within that time, thanks to human design. And as I was navigating a new big decision of, do I let go of my license? Do I let go of being a clinical therapist, providing treatment and diagnosis? The answer was yes. So just last year in 2024, I let my art therapy license and my mental health clinical license go. Huge decision. It was scary, but it was also the best thing because I knew that it would bring me success, right? I sat with this decision for about 3 years before it actually happened. So if you're an emotional authority, take your time. And then I fully stepped into coaching and honoring my gifts and doing this work, leading individuals through understanding their human design, through healing, through finding alignment, through teaching and educating in workshops in different settings. So here I am today, 5 years into my journey, right? It takes 7 years to decondition. And I do not believe that in another 2 years, right, when I've been in my experiment for 7 years, will I be healed? Will I be fully in success? This is a lifelong journey. I am still deconditioning. I am still honoring my strategy and authority, my design, all that is made up of it. But what I really want to share and emphasize through sharing my story with you is that when we back off, when we trust, when we honor our energy, our needs, that alignment happens and we get to live in our signature theme. So, really understanding as a projector that I'm not here to do, I'm here to be. And when I show up, shine my light like a lighthouse, that others will find me. My message will come across and I will receive recognition and invitations to find and create my aligned success. I It is true. I am here to let you know that it can be great. It can be amazing. It is possible. It gets to be really simple. And I absolutely love being able to see and guide individuals on this journey. So, thank you so much for hearing my story. Thank you for being a part of my life and allowing me to be a part of your journey. I really look forward to connecting more with you. Please let me know pieces of my story that resonate with you. And I can't wait to see how you decondition and align.